Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, we're about to study Masechet Midot, tractates that dealing with the measurement of the second Beit Hamikdash, the second Holy Temple, with details of the building and more. Here and there, a little bit, we'll also deal with the services, but mainly about the temple. We have a very clear and strong belief based on the word of Rambam and others that when Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah from Sinai, transmitted from one generation to another until King David conveyed it and King Solomon built the first Beit Hamikdash. It's written in the book of Kings. Also, in the book of Ezekiel, there is a description of the third, the future, which we believe the building of the Beit Hamikdash. At the time of Olei Bavel, after 410 years of the Beit Hamikdash, unfortunately the temple destroyed, our people went to exile in Babylon, and then the leaders like Azarah, Nehemiah and others led the people to build the second Beit Hamikdash, the second Holy Temple. So that building was based on the first one with relatively minor changes, but also the question of the third one, if that will be totally based on the prophecy of Ezekiel or more relates to the previous. Because as you see, there are some type of differences between King Solomon first building and the second building that started by Ezra and Nehemiah, but later on renovated by Herod and more. The Rambam tells us that the whole concept, the whole goal is obviously the belief that we have one day building of the Beit HaMikdash, the third one, but it's also a debate. You have Rashi in Tractate Sukkah, page 41, that said that miraculously will have the temple come from heaven, versus the Rambam who said that it will be built by people. With that said, we need to know the details. So again, these tractates zoom in the era that already occurred. We have the second temple for 420 years, and the structure, the building of the second temple, which obviously leads us to soon to be the third one, is the foundation, not just the architectural engineering and understanding the setup of the measurement in the temple, but we go to details and see the expansion and the deep thought for every small minute detail involved in this. Obviously, it's a great mitzvah to study this short but beautiful Masechet. I'm going to use some chart before we go to details, just for us to get the little bit understanding. If you have the Gemarot, I highly recommend to use either the Koren Gemara or the Schattenstein or others who bring you some understanding of the building. Then we'll go for the details. Here is the very general, the building of Beit HaMikdash. There are several entrances. One is from the east side, and you have entrance from the west side. What the modern days we call the western wall or the Kotel Maravi, that's beyond this part, which is the Holy of Holies, the Kodashim. This is the women's section. This is getting from the women's section, the 15 stairs we study in the Tractate Tamid, to that leading from Ezras Nashim, from the women's section, to the men area, and you have gates here, and from that point we have this area that restricted just for the Kohanim, outer altar, and then you get inside the Beit HaMikdash itself. Now if you look at the structure of that part, they have a different gates from different entrances. Each of them carries a meaning. For example, we have a gate that it's called Shar Hamayim. The Shar Hamayim, it was a entrance for the mikveh, for ritual bath, and entrance. This is the kind of the water part. There is another gate. It's called Shar HaNitzotz. We're going to discuss it soon. You see it's in this part, and we're going to discuss also Beit Avtinas. Beit Avtinas, it was a family that specialized in the incense, in the ketoret, and they have a special chamber. It's called Beit Avtinas. There is several. If you look, let's see, 41. 41 is the this part. It's area, it's a chamber that they go to duck in the water. Now, this is the Holy of Holies, and this is the west part of Beit Hamikdash. And in order to enter, this is only for the high priest. This is the sanctuary, the draw of the center. And here we have the 12 steps from the Temple Courtyard to the sanctuary. Later we go to details of certain locations, certain areas, and their purposes, like the gates, Petach HaEchal, or here the shewbread area and more. But in general, so far we understand that this is the eastern part that leads to all this sacred area and this different restriction overside. These are many gates. Most of them were used, but some not. And this is the western part, which still we see to this very day, the western wall that it's beyond the Holy of Holies. So let's start with the Perek Rishon, the first chapter, page 34, the Mishnah Kedusha. The entire chapter is just Mishnayot, the Masechet is Mishnayot. As we said, it deals with the structure of the Beit Hamikdash, the Holy Temple. We are doing some type of siyur mudrach. We go over all these places. We understand different needs, different leshachot, different chapters. We'll see a different, as we see earlier, ramot kedusha, different level of sanctity. When we study it, for many of us, it may remind, for example, just for understanding, England. So in England, you have the guards, you have people who watch over, not necessarily as a guard for a security guard in the sense of security issues, but many times is just to show honor and respect. In very general, when it's come to Kedushat Harabait, the Temple Mountain carry a sanctity. We talked in the past about certain people, like men with mental mission, like Zav, Nida, women discharge. That applies to guf, to body. We have a Chayil or Chayil, that's a little higher in the level of sanctity, and that's Ezrat Nashim. And as we see in the map, in one area carries more sanctity. You go to Ezrat Israel, Ezrat Kohanim, Ulam, Heichal, Kodesh Kodashim, Holy Holies. So you see the proportion in the level of sanctity and the gradation, each of them. Our Holy Torah requires the Kohanim and Leviim who serve in Beit HaMikdash to watch over the Beit HaMikdash. The Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 18, quote, Veshamru et mishmeret oel moed. They should safeguard the tent of meeting. The derivative from that is the Rambam explained to us in Ilchot Beit HaBchira that it's a positive commandment, and as the Rosh explained that it's not because of fear of thievery or fear of any form of desecration, is just an expression of honor, meaning it's not for prevention but sign of honor. That's Rabbeinu Shmaya, student of Rashi, who said it's only at night. So the Tiferet Israel explained on that, and he says that we have this effect on us, as we mentioned each and every prayer for a daily basis, 3 times a day. We pray for Yerushalayim, pray for the Holy Temple, is to carry in our hearts the whole structure of Beit Hamikdash and the way it built, and hopefully soon we'll be able to do it physically. Now, the Mishnah הקדושה start בשלושה מקומות הכהנים שומרים בבית המקדש. The Mishnah in Tractate Tamid in page 26 expand why there are 3 locations, but the Mishnah said that the Kohanim will keep watch in 3 places in the Temple Courtyard in honor of the temple. So the first one, Beit Avtinas. So you remember not only the map, but we learned it on Yomah, Tractate Yomah, page 38. It was a very important family of priesthood that named Avtinas. They are expert. Their specialty was in the preparation of the Ketoret, the incense, and that was the place that they set it up, Rosh said. So that's the chamber of Avtinas, that they prepare the incense. Beveit HaNitzotz. The Beit HaNitzotz, it's the chamber of the spark. The chamber of the spark, it's the northern part of Temple Courtyard, close to the Holy of Holies, and where there was a small perpetual fire from which the fire of the altar will be lit if it went out. And the third one is Uveveit HaMoked, and the chamber of the hearts. Beveit HaMoked, that a gagagol, it's a very special top of the roof that looks like a yarmulke, or look like you see it now in modern days, a lot of follow-up Islamic house of worship and more, but it's a part that was made during that time in the northern part of the temple wall. It was the rabbis debate where's exact location, and they concluded it was Chatzi B'Kodesh v'Chatzi B'Chol. It was half in a place that carries the sanctity, and the other not. Later in the Mishnayot we expand on that, but that's the Kohanim. The Kohanim needs to be in these 3 locations, and the whole idea is that later you see that they need to guard, but sometimes they get tired, and there is a certain area that allow only the descendants of King David. There's a lot of details that show us where and when and how they need to be. It's not every location, it's not all the time, as we see mainly at night. But as we said, the Kohanim are required only in those 3 locations: Beit Avtinas, Beit HaNitzotz, Beit HaMoked. The Halviyim and the Levites, ב-21 makom. They need to be in 21 places, based on the book of Chronicles, chapter 26. So the Levites will keep watch in 21 places in the temple, and here's the way they divided it. 5 על 5 שערי הר הבית. 5 of these watchmen were located upon the 5 gates of the Temple Mountain. So those 5 gates of Temple Mountain we're going to study in Mishnah 3. 4 על 4 פינותיו מתוכו. So the 4 of these watchmen were located upon the 4 corners of the Temple Mount. Now, even the sanctity of the Temple Mount is more than the sanctity of Yerushalayim, but the Temple Mount has no prohibition against sitting. So therefore, those guards, when they are tired, Rabbeinu Asher, Rabbeinu Shmaya, and others said, they can relax and sits. חמישה על חמישה שערי האזרה. You have 5 that in charge of those 5 parts, 5 gates of the temple courtyard. 4 פינותיה מבחוץ. So the 4, they are on the 4 corners of the courtyard, outside the courtyard wall on the temple mount. And so the whole idea is that they cannot stand and watch the entire night. There is a place that they're permitted to go and sit and relax. ואחד ללשכת הקורבן, and one watchman, one Levi, was located in the chamber of the offering. So that's the place that the animal was checked and make sure that they are befitting for service. There are several different views, but that's the core view. ואחד ללשכת הפרוכת, בלשכת הפרוכת, one of the chamber of the curtain, which the curtain is separating the sanctuary and the Holy of Holies was woven. ואחד לאחורי בית הכפורת, and one beyond the hall of the art cover. That's exactly the location which we call אחורי קודש הקודשים, מבית לכפורת. That's the western part of the Kodesh HaKodashim based on Book of Chronicles, chapter 28. And that place is a space between the Holy of Holies and the western wall of the Temple Mountain. Mishnah Bet. Ish har Beit. Ish, in this sense, is the leader, the one who in charge. The Gemara in Yoma 18 said that that's the head watchman. In army you call it Rasar, the one who is responsible. So Ish har Beit, that's the one, the chief guard. היה מחזר על כל משמר ומשמר. So he was going around and circulate nightly among each of every watch post, and his job is to ascertain that the watchmen were awake and performing their duty properly. והאבוקות דולקים לפניו. They carry those lit torture before him. Always when I study it, it reminds me of Amadeus, the movie, the life of Mozart. They show how at the beginning they carry those tortures. Anyway, so the idea is in the early ancient time, that's the way they can lead and can see further. But anyway, בכל משמר שאינו עומד. So if you have those who are like not standing properly, because the Leviim, they're allowed to sit during the service, but the Rabbi Dr said that they need to stand when they hear him. So any time when he comes in, there is a responsibility to every watch post where the watchman will not stand in their honor when he passed. So if that happened, meaning that somebody is sleeping or someone is not doing the job properly, אומר לו איש הבית, שלום עליך. The watchman said to him, peace be upon you. So he's basically trying to, in a way, check him to make sure that he's up and awake. Now if the guard, the watchman is not answering, what did he do? ניכר שהוא ישן, that he is sleeping, חובטו במקלו. Those days, most probably it was permitted. They struck him with his staff. ורשות היה לו לשרוף את כסותו. So he allowed also, you have the right to burn the sleeping watchman's garment to discipline him. Well, it's all depend upon the crime. There's a debate among the rabbis if it's all the garments, the outer garments, how far you do it, if hefker bedin hefker, if it's not baltashchit. Anyway, Vehem, so the people who live in Yerushalayim, they are overhearing the watchmen being rebuked. They will say to one another, they hear the screaming, and they said, Omrim, Ma kol ba'azarah, what is the strong voice, the sound that we are hearing from the temple courtyard? Kol ben Levi lokeu b'gadam nisafim, that has to be that one of those Levites that received a malko, that he was flogged because he was asleep, and having his clothing burned, as he found sleeping at his watch post and not fulfilling his duty. שישן לו. Now, רבי אליעזר בן יעקב אומר, פעם אחת מצאו את אחי אמא ישן ושרפו את כסותו. Once that supervisor found my brother sleeping at his watch post, and they burned his garment. So there's a lot to derive from here. First, the idea is that every stam Mishnah in Midot is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. But the idea of burning the garments is a question, how and why and what. But anyway, there's a lot to learn from here. Let's go to Mishnah 3. So the Mishnah 3, southern part of the Temple Mountain, it's in our sources, Bamekorot, it's called Ir David, because David HaMelech alav hashalom, King David purchased it from the Yevusim, from Jebusai. So after the Mishnah finished speaking about Shmirat Hamikdash, the safeguard of the Holy Temple, now it's a description of Beit Hamikdash itself, and the Mishnah begins with the gate of Temple Mountain. חמישה שערים היו להר הבית. The Temple Mountain has 5 gates. Later you see the exact size, etc., etc. But there are 5 gates. שני שערי חולדה מן הדרום, 2 gates that call חולדה, located in the southern part. There's several explanations. Some said that it looks like the animal חולדה. Some said it's because חולדה, the prophetess, she sat there and judged, and therefore she avoided any issue of modesty. But anyway, that was 2 gates. משמשים כניסה ויציאה. It's for entrance and exit to Temple Mountain. Then you have ki fonos min ha'ma'arav. That's the western part. That's you see it in the old city from the western part of Temple Mountain. And it was kefi in the Greek language, because the divine providence is in the western part of the Beit Hamikdash. That's the Holy of Holies, and that's the Kotel Maravi, that the Ikar Kedusha, the essence of the sanctity, is in the western part of Beit Hamikdash. Kiponos Ma'arav Meshamesh K'nisa V'Yetziat Tadi Min HaTzafon V'Hamshulet B'Shlut. So it was a gate that called Tadi, was made look like that, and the Mefarshim said that that's the Kohen that was not pure, needs to go to a whole process from that place. ושער מזרחי עליו שושן הבירת צורה. So it was eastern gate that had the image of Shushan. The rabbis wants to emphasize here a reminder, which we learned several times in the Shas, that since the Persian kingdom allowed them to build, and it's a sign the Rosh Hashanah and others to remember and respect the head of exile, the kingdom that allowed them to do it, and remind them also the situation that people have at that time. See more on the Rashi Menachot, page 98. שבו כהן גדול שורף את הפרה. That's the time that the high priest, when he does the service of burning the red heifer, וכל מסעדיה יוצאים להר המשחה, and all those people who involved with this, they go to the mountain of anointment, which called Har Mishcha, the Mount of Olives, which is to the east of the Temple Mount, to burn the red heifer. Mishnah Dalet. The Azarah, the Temple Courtyard, it was set up, and you look at different Gemarot, you see the way it was structured. It was walled from all different sides. Yet, some of the gates been used, some not. The Mishnah Kedosha tells us, Shiv'a she'arim hayu ba'Azarah. So there were 7 gates in the temple courtyard. So that's the inner part. If you come from the eastern part, as we showed you earlier, it's on our right side. 3 בצפון ו3 בדרום ו1 במזרח. So 3 in the northern part, 3 in the southern, and 1 in the east. שבדרום, the one that is in the southern part, that is close to the west side, שער הדלק. So Rabbeinu Asher said that that's the gate that they used to put the delek, the kindling, that the Kohanim will bring wood for the fire on the top of the altar. Sheni lo shar hakorban. Next to him, the second one, was the gate of the offering. Again, the Kohanim will bring a kosher firstborn animal for offering, as it's permitted to take the firstborn animal offering on the southern side of the courtyard. Shlishilo, the one who's close to the eastern part, Sha'ar Hamayim. It's called the gate of the water. That's the bring the fill of the water for the water libation on the festival of Sukkot. The gate Sheba Mizrach, the gate that it's in the eastern part, Sha'ar Nikanor. So it was a fellow by the name of Nikanor. We'll talk about him in the past. That's based on the Gemara in Yoma 38, that Nikanor traveled to Alexandria in Egypt, and he brought a copper door, and the whole things what happened during that travel. You can visit Gemara in Yoma 38 and you can see more on that, but anyway, that's the name of the gate. ושתי לשכות היו לו, it was 2 chambers on both sides, אחת מימינו ואחת משמאלו, one on the right side, one on the left side, אחת לשכת פנחס המלביש. So Pinchas was the Kohen, was a priest in the earliest day, based on Yerushalmi, Tractate Shkalim, chapter 5, that was the first one that was responsible for all the clothing, wear and take off of the Kohanim when they entered to the Avodah, to the service, the Temple Courtyard. And because he was the first one, the Rabbeinu Asher and others said that that's named after him, but they used that chamber for other purposes, such as a storage room and more. That's the Mefarshim go at length to explain. V'achat lishkat oseh havitim. It was another chamber that was for the griddle cake offering, half of which was offered in the morning and half in the afternoon. And if you remember, we studied it in both in Tractate Middot and Tractate Yoma. Mishnah 5. Ve'shebatzafon, the gate that was closest to the western part of the courtyard was called Sha'ar HaNitzotz, the gate of the spark. Uchmin achsadra haya va'aliyah bnuya al gabav. It was made, was covered with a broad roof so that it resembled an enclosure open at each end. And it was the upper story built at the top of this gate, va'aliyah bnuya al gabav. שהכהנים שומרים, that the Kohanim used to watch from above, מלמעלה, ולוויים מלמטה, and the Levites were the lesser prestige, will watch from below, ופתח היה לו לחיל, and in the inner side of the structure open into the temple courtyard, the outer side had an opening to the rampart, and it was surrounding the courtyard wall, which surrounded the courtyard. Sheni Lo, second one from the gate of this park, Shar HaKorban, that's the offering of the Holy of Holies, that because it was Shchidatan B'tzfon Azarah, the slaughter was in the northern part of the Temple Courtyard, so that's the gate, Shar HaKorban. Shlishi Lo, Beit HaMoked, and the third one is the chamber of the heart, Mishnah Vav. Now they talk about fourth chamber inside the chamber of the heart. There are four chambers in the four corners of the chamber of the heart. Kekitonot ptuchot la traklin. It was like a small room, semi-open to a room open to the central hall, because the chamber of the heart was built partially inside the wall surrounding the temple courtyard and partially out of it. So two of these chambers, the southern ones, were located in the sacred area, Shtayim Bakodesh Ushtayim Bachol, and two were located in the non-sacred area of the Temple Mountain. Verashei Fishpeshim Mavdilim Ben Kodesh Lechol. So it was the tip of the wooden pots were just out from the walls of the chamber of the heart, from the floor to the ceiling. Umeh hayu meshamshot, and what's the purpose of those chambers, sir? Ma'aravid romit hayta lishakat korban, the one who was the south and west, used for the chamber of offering, where there was always 6 lambs that had been examined for blemishes, designated for the daily offering. Dromit mizrachit hayta lishkat lechem apanim, the southern east chamber of the heart was the chamber of the shewbread. That's the shewbread that was kneaded and baked. Mizrachit tzfonit ba ganzu bnei Chashmonai et avnei hamizbeach sheshiktu malchei Yavam. So the northern east chamber, the Chashmonaim put the stone of the altar that were desecrated by the Greek king, the well-known the Assyrian Greek that ruled over Israel in the time of Antiochus. So they offer idolatrous offering on the altar. So the Hashmonean purified the temple. They sequestered the stones of the altar and placed them in the chamber. צפונית מערבית בה יורדים לבית הטבילה. So the northern west chamber, so that's the one that the Kohanim who slept in the chamber of the heart, and they experience a ziva, a seminal emission, descended through the tunnels under the temple of the hall of the immersion to immerse themselves, to remove the whole idea of ritual impurity. There is a discussion why and how they do it. Is Rabbeinu Hananel and others talk about the process, how they went to that part, and it was the tunnel or not, and when they're allowed to return. Page 34b, that's Mishnah number 7. So we learn in Mishnah 5 that one of the gates of the temple courtyard was in the chamber of the heart. So it was 2 gates. One was open to the rampart and one was open to the courtyard. אמר רבי יהודה, זה שהיה פתוח לעזרה פשפש קטן היה לו שבו נכנסים לבלוש את העזרה. So Rabbi Dr said that the one that was open to courtyard, they have a small wicket in the very large door of the gate. So that's the Kohanim will enter each morning before the service, and they basically examine the courtyard in order to ensure that everything that it's clear in order. The Rabbeinu Asher, based on Tractate Middot, page 28, explain that it has to be, it's a machloket, how exactly they enter and which one, if it was through the door or the pishpash. Anyway, there is those who say that it's a machloket between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda. There are some who say that it's not exactly machloket. Anyway, you can see more in Talmud 28, the Rashash and other Mefarshim. Mishnah 8, Beit HaMoked Kippah Uvayit Gadol Haya. So the chamber of the heart, they have like a kippah, like a cupola, right? And it was a large hall, mukaf, surrounded rovadin shel even. So there was a stone benches protruding from the wall into the hall, one on the top of the other, with each bench nowhere there was an underneath similar to stairs. וזקני בית אב ישנים שם מפתחות האזרה בידם. So the elder of the kehuna, the priestly family, so they sleep there on the non-sacred side of the chamber of the heart. And pirchei kehuna, and a young priest, there's a different opinion what is the young priest. In general, is the idea that the Kohen with his bar mitzvah and have two hair, public hair, so it's befitting. But the Rambam in Hamikdash chapter 5 said that they basically requires them to be at the age of 20. So those young Kohanim, ish ksuto ba'aretz. So they basically put their garments on the earth and sleep on it. So the Mefarshim expand on that, what exactly they did and how. The main idea is it wasn't proper, it's incongruous, it wasn't proper derech eretz to sleep in Beit HaMikdash, so therefore they put it in such a way that it wasn't a desecration there. They put just pillows and certain ksatot, but it's a different view what exactly they allow and how. Mishnah Tet, Mishnah number 9. So we learned in the previous Mishnah that the key for the temple courtyard was by the elder of the patrilineal priestly family. So now they talk about the due process of saving those keys. ומקום היה שם, עמה על עמה וטבלה של שיש וטבעת הייתה קבועה בה ושלשלת שהמפתחות היו תלויות בה. So it was a place there in the floor of the chamber of the heart that it was the side of cubit by cubit, and a marble tablet was there that was covering the space, and the ring was fastened to outer side of the tablet to assist the Kohanim in raising it, and a chain upon which the key of the gate between the chamber of the heart and the courtyard were hanging and was fixed to the underside of the tablets. Higia zman han'ila, on a time of locking of the door of the courtyard in the evening, hikbea et hatavla batabat, the priest will lift the tablets with the ring, ונטל את המפתחות מן השלשלת, and he will take the keys from the chain, ונעל הכהן מבפנים, and the Kohen will then lock the chamber of the heart from the inside, ובן לוי יושן לו מבחוץ. So now the Ben Levi is outside of the northern gate of the chamber of the heart in Temple Mountain. גמר בלנעול, החזיר את המפתחות לשלשלת ואת הטבלה למקומה, נתן כסותו עליה, ישן לו. So when the Kohen finished locking the gate, he will return the key to the place on the chain and restore the tablets to its place, and he will then place his garment upon it and sleep on the garment. Now, if it was a carry, if it was a seminal mission before one of the Kohanim, so you go by the tunnel that goes under the Bira, and Gemara and Yoma, both the early part, page 2, and also in Zvachim, page 104, the two view what exactly the Bira, either that is a tunnel under the Temple Mountain, Reish Lakish said that it's under the Beit Hamikdash. Anyway, והנרות דולקים מכאן ומכאן, so that's the reason that you can see in the tunnel. עד שהוא מגיע לבית הטבילה. So until you reach the place of immersion, where he will immerse himself, returning to his space in the chamber of the heart. So again, he is at Tvul Yom, so he cannot return immediately. So that's the reason why there's a lot of parshanuyot, what exactly he did and how long he needs to be away. But Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov אומר, במסיבה הולכת תחת החל. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov said that he will leave the Temple Mount to that tunnel and extend it beneath the rampart. יוצא והולך לו בתדי. So he will go to a non-sacred area and go out through the Tadi gate. So there is a different pirushim. The Vilna Gaon hold that's the יוצא והולך לו בתדי. It's not part of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, but that's the conclusion of the Mishnah by everyone. The whole idea is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov disputed the Tanakama by holding that that tunnel that Kohen had, it wasn't under the Beit Hamikdash, because he said that his tumat applies even under the Beit Hamikdash, but he go by that tunnel under the Chel. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov agreed that he returned at the time of opening the gates in the morning. But anyway, it's a different view between the Rabbeinu Asher, Parshash, the Vilna Gaon, of this machloket between Tanakam and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. But as we said, the Vilna Gaon hold that the last line in the Mishnah, יוצא והולך לו בתדי, it's not a machloket, but it's part of the statement of the Mishnah. hadran alach בשלושה מקומות.